Today we're racing a Olympic triathlon. Best sound of the day. Short race. And by short I mean it's 1 kilometer swim, 16 miles I think on the bike, and about 6 miles running. These races are typically chaotic. Why? Because you die from the beginning to the end. There's no pacing yourself. You go all out, max heart rate, push, 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 and keep pushing until you're done. A little airplanes. The beauty of filming outside. Speaking of the video of filming outside, I actually recorded this on the actual race day, but the microphone was not connected to the phone. And so we are recording live from Key Biscayne, Florida. It's actually my first race after my back injury this summer. So it's gonna be a test to see where my fitness where my fitness is at, and also to see if we're on the right path towards the World Championship. Follow along. So the reason why I signed up for this race was because I had to find a way to know where my fitness was at, since this summer I had a big back injury. The big back injury was me throwing a water bottle in the trash can, by the way. I was bent like this for like 3 days. And then after I saw a physical therapist for 2 weeks in a row, it went away. So I was pretty much out of the game for almost the whole month of August. This race was a local race in Key Biscayne. Key Biscayne is, somewhere there. It's just a little island here that we have in Miami. And that's where I train most of the time because it's the safest bike path we have. So long story short, I'm like, great, we have a race in September in Key Biscayne. I can sign up. It's about a month and a half away from my race. Let's sign up. Let's see where the fitness is at. Let's practice transitions. Very important. And let's see what we got. Why is it important to practice? Everything is pretty chaotic because you don't really have time to settle into the race. You go swim, you get off, you rush through transition, you put your bike gear on and you leave on the bike, and then you come back and you run. And that's like that in every triathlon, sure. But on this case, like, you don't have a second to lose because the next person might be like literally 2 seconds behind you. The week before the race, I just, depending on my volume, but typically my coach will have me do a little taper. What the hell am I saying? I taper for a little bit. And what does that mean? So that week, the workouts that I do are lower intensity or shorter if I'm doing intensity, so that I arrive to the race with less fatigue and more rested so that I can perform in the race. This week, actually, the day before the race, I got my period. Da-da-da-da. And that actually happens quite often to me, that I get my period the day of the race or the day before. So I rested a lot. Unlike me, I couldn't get out of bed at all this week. So I did all my workouts, 100% of them in the afternoon. That really never happens because I love working out in the morning, but I was so tired because my period was coming. So I decided to sleep in, rest, recover, and just get the workout out of the way in the afternoon. So the day before the race, everybody is different. I fully rested. I didn't lift one finger that day. I woke up, I read some, I scrolled through social media, and then I made myself breakfast. I made myself pancakes. I use these pancakes here. They are called Kodiak cakes. And I use them because they have protein, so it's not just carbs. I make them with milk. I added 1 egg or 2 eggs to them. I don't remember right now. They were delicious. I add maple syrup to it too. I don't eat maple syrup. I think that's gross. Yuck. But maple syrup is the best, and it comes from a tree, so it's natural. I shoved those pancakes down the hatch, chilled a little bit more, worked a little bit, pack my bag. That's very important. I don't have a list. Like, I'm not a person that builds lists and it's like check, because I've done this many times. So I know off the top of my head what I did. Also, it's a shorter race. It was by the house, so I'm not traveling to another city. I don't need to panic, what did I forget? No, because it's right there.
You sure about that?
Then I thought I forgot my sunglasses. I had forgotten my goggles. So it was just chaotic. So I packed, and this is the packing list that I am putting for you. This is all I packed. Do you need all of this to race? Like for the people that are thinking of starting triathlon, right? What do I need to race a triathlon? So I'm gonna have another video in the future soon, actually, talking about must have or nice to have, and also how much money everything costs, because travel is not a cheap sport, but it can be affordable or more affordable. Like you can make it as expensive as you want, right? Like if your budget is unlimited, that money gonna fly because it's expensive and you can spend a lot of money. Had some pasta for dinner, plain pasta, a mild carb load. I didn't carb load crazy because it's a short race, so I don't need as many carbs as I would need for a longer race. Two things: rest, a little bit of carb load, and make sure that you don't forget anything and that you pack everything the night before the race. So I don't ever really eat anything solid. That doesn't work with me. I've tried it before. It's just not for me. I puke. I don't feel well. I feel heavy. So I have everything liquid. So I alternate a few things, but this is typically what I have, which is tailwind. Or I also have this scratch high carb whatever mix. It's really good. It's strawberry flavored. It's delicious. I would have about 50 grams of whatever carb mix that I use with water, and that was my breakfast on race day. I don't have anything else. Then we rushed a little bit out the door because I like I like pushing the limit and see if I can make it on time or not. Would I make it on time? Will I be able to race?
We get there when we get there.
We rushed out the door. Key Biscayne is not too far. It's like, I don't know, 7 miles, 6 mile drive. It's right there. We got to the race. Thankfully, it was before 6:30, so I was able to pick up my packet and set up everything in transition. And that is so important. Like, I cannot emphasize setting up shit in transition. So fucking important. Like, if you mess that part up, you're gonna lose time. And mind you, the transitions in a triathlon are like the fourth discipline. If you don't know how to do a transition, good luck. Especially if you're trying to be competitive, I'm gonna add that part too. To be very efficient, it's very important that you lay out things in a way that it's easy for you to put on when you come off of the swim. So what do I typically do? I do not leave my shoes clipped on the bike because I don't know how to do that. I have not learned in these 5 years.
So, we didn't learn
How to just get on a bike and put my shoes on while they're clipped in. I find that terrifying and I'm scared of it, so I don't fucking do it. I also do not ride my bike without wearing socks. Up to debate, sure, people do it. I don't. I put socks on. So I leave my socks folded. So then when you get in, you just shove your feet in there and you put the shoes on. Like, you don't have to open the sock, put it in, blah, blah, blah. No. So that's important. You leave the socks prepared inside the shoes. Then you leave the glasses on the helmet because you need to put your helmet and buckle the helmet before you leave the transition. If not, you'll get penalized. And that's pretty much how I set up the stuff for the bike. I leave the bottles ready, the computer on, the bike computer on. If you don't have a bike computer, that's fine. Your watch, whatever. And then I leave my run stuff. So my shoes have these special laces that the link is here to buy them. I had them for years. Like, they are the best, I think. So you don't have to lace up your shoes. You just shove your feet. You do like this and you put your shoes on, and then the running number that you have to buckle in. And very important, the nutrition. So for this race, the nutrition for the bike was just one gel that I kept inside the pocket of my bike, and then I took one gel with me for the run that I just put in my pocket. I left it next to the shoes. Leaving all of this ready is very important. So we set up transition and we head for the run. What the hell am I saying? We just go to the beach to start the swim. So we go for the swim, and we have to swim pretty far out of the beach because Key Biscayne is pretty shallow. And I felt really good on the swim. When I say really good, is that at first when I started racing triathlon, I would feel scared, panicked. I still would do it, but I would not be confident that I was able to do it. On the last two races, this race and the other one I did in June, I just felt, unstoppable. I was passing people, I was controlling my breathing, I was swimming, not the fastest that I could, but for the moment I was swimming great. So I felt good, and I'm glad because swimming is my least favorite sport out of the three, but I've been dedicating a lot of time to it in the last year, so it's finally paying off, and I'm proud of that, very proud. So the water was pretty choppy. but nothing. I felt really confident. So when I got off the water, I always think, oh my God, thank God this is over. This part is over. And I rushed through transition, got my bike, and as soon as I started paddling, I could tell that I was as flat as a pancake, and not in a good way. I was just not feeling my best. I was heavy. Just I couldn't find rhythm, to be honest. I was heavy. I was just like I kept trying to push watts, and those the watts were on vacation. They were not there. It rained. That's another thing I recommend. If you're ever scared of riding your bike in the rain, try it out when you're training, because a race is not gonna stop because there's rain. You don't want to be all scared on your bike. I saw so many people so scared of riding their bike in the rain, and that's so dangerous because you're going fast. You might be going up down a hill or down a bridge at speed that you're not used to. So I definitely recommend practicing that. It's not my favorite either to ride my bike in the rain, but yeah, if it happens, it happens. I knew, right then and there that my run was not gonna be what I expected, and it definitely wasn't. I did not feel good at all. It was hot as balls, and I mean it. It was so humid, so hot. I was drenched from like not even the first mile, like 0.3 miles, and I was already like, oh my God, I have to run 6.2. Get me out of here. But whatever, I locked in. I did not stop. In every water station, I got some water. When they have ice, I got ice. It's so important that when it's hot, you hydrate and you cool off, because getting so heated is just reduces your performance so much. Not really the race I wanted to have. I'm not gonna lie. I did this race to measure my fitness, and I'm not sure what my fitness is at, but physically I did not feel very well. It could have been my period, it could have been the heat. A fancy car down there. It could have been what it could have been. I don't know, but I did not feel great. So let's focus on the good part, right? I finished first female overall and then eighth overall on the race. That's something to celebrate. I honestly didn't celebrate too much because I really wasn't feeling like, oh my God, I did the performance of my life. And I do this sport because I like to be better. So it's hard for me to celebrate something that I just didn't feel that I was performing up to the standard that I wanted. So overall, I don't know if I gained anything from this race, but some practice on all of the stuff that I have told you, the transitions and such. Not sure where my fitness is at. I have not been feeling great, but I'm tired, so I just need some sleep, I guess, more sleep. The best part was then going Venezuelan restaurant. Budare Bistro is great. It's on Coral Way for the folks in Miami. And I had a pelúa arepa, pelúa, que estaba buenísima, y a coffee, that it's not really coffee because I like my coffee like it's just milk, okay? Don't judge me. And that's it, my friends. I am gonna be sharing with you all the money that these things cost, because that's something that I wish I knew when I got into this sport. I never imagined how expensive the entry fees were, or like the gear is, because it's not cheap. I'm not gonna lie to you. Follow and all, subscribe, hit send. That's all, folks. See you next time.